guys, this is a message from Mary in the future. Basically, when we filmed this episode of the Valley Project, I didn't press the record button properly on the camera. So normally, when you watch these episodes, you'll see a video of us doing, recording the podcast. But for this one, you're just going to get a nice cheesy photo of us because I didn't press the record button properly. So I'm really sorry about that. But I hope you guys enjoy the episode, and God bless.
Hi guys, welcome to the Value Project and our podcast for today. I'm Becky and this is Mary. And today we are going to look at Psalm 139.
Yeah, so this psalm is basically, the reason we want to start looking at it is because it kind of pinpoints everything that we kind of believe at the Value Project and what we hope and dream for the Value Project. So when we were kind of creating this, we spent ages looking for a Bible verse, and this is one that just kind of kept coming around, and we were really reluctant at first, weren't we?
I was very reluctant.
You were?
Yeah. I don't really like Psalms.
Yeah.
I know that's a very unpopular opinion. I know Psalms
I'm
most
kind
people
of with
love.
you there, I'll be honest.
I much prefer reading stuff that I feel like I can get my teeth into.
Has a nice story to it.
Yeah, like Genesis, that's a good book.
Yeah, I get a bit lost in kind of the airy fairy floaty poetry, but that isn't to say it's not a great book.
Well, evidently it is a good book because we've got a lot out of this chapter.
Yeah, and it's one of those chapters that you hear a lot at school. I think my GCSE RE was 90% just quoting half of this.
Yeah.
Half of this. So it's one that you've heard a lot, and everyone's probably heard at school at some point.
Or at church, anywhere really.
Yeah.
It's a very easily quotable.
So we kind of wanted to have an opportunity to kind of give a fresh look at it, I guess.
Yeah. And I think when we were, like you said, when we were praying into what Bible verse we want to kind of focus around for the Value Project, we this one followed us, didn't it?
It did.
Everything, it just kept coming back. So although I was very reluctant to begin with, I feel like God's put on our hearts a bit stuff. He's brought a lot out of this for us,
yeah,
isn't
for
he?
sure. So we're going to look at it hopefully in two halves, potentially three, depending on how much we chat. But we're going to start today by just looking at the first 12 verses. So Beck, do you want to read it for us?
So we're only going to read the first 12 now, but you might want to pause it and read the whole chapter. Pause it and read it, but it's up to you. So Psalm 139, starting at verse 1. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely. You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depth, you are there. If I rise on wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light became night around me, even the darkness will not be dark. To you, that night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light as you.
Good. So this, the Psalms is basically a book of poetry. Most of it is written by a guy called King David, and this bit is written by King David. So if you're kind of into poetry and that kind of thing, there's this. It's kind of broken up into four sections, and there's the four sections that we're going to talk about, and there's lots of kind of poetic, what they call things. Poetry was not my strong point at school.
Not mine.
No. So there's lots of poetic things in there.
Yeah, if you like poetry, this is a great...
Yeah, you can get your teeth into it. We're not going to go into the poetic things. That's not our speciality, you may have guessed. But the first bit we're going to look at is verses 1 to 6. And the kind of headline for that is, You Know Me. God knows us. You know me. So, Becky, what do you think about the first few verses?
The very first verse of you have searched me, Lord, and you know me. I often think when I think of, it's easy to think of God and think he knows us because he's made everything. He knows your I was going to call you a different name than you're Mary. I'm Becky. You know, he knows you, but actually, like, it's more than just knowing. He like really knows you. Like he's searched me and knows me. But the search me bit, to me, it's like, you know, like when you like, you're fabulous at getting spoilers off the TV, aren't you? Like, you like to know a spoiler.
I like to be prepared.
Yeah, well, I hate that. I like if I'm going to watch it, I don't want to know the spoilers. Like, I want to watch it and be surprised. Whereas you want to know the spoilers. Like, but I think it's like, and sometimes the worst thing between us is you are rubbish at giving spoilers away to me, which I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Like, apart from when I accidentally gave away the Avengers Endgame spoiler to break to you, but that being the side point, you know. But actually, like, for God, like, it isn't like he's accidentally overheard a spoiler. Like, he's not accidentally, like, he has gone out and done what you do. He's gone out and searched who you are. Like, it's not by an accident that he knows who you are. And it's not like because God's so big that he knows because he's made you. Like, he's searched you out. He's searched you to know you.
And like, that just blows my mind as well, because you're like, I think sometimes when we say about God, it's easy to like put him in a like little box of like, oh, just God. But like the guy that created like the entire universe, like literally created everything, like has actively searches us out, actively wants to know us, actively wants to be with us. And like, that is mental.
Yeah. It's crazy,
mental.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I love that. So you know, God is searching for us. God knows us. Another thing that really jumped out for me in this first bit is in verse 6. It says, such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. And like, what it's saying there is, like, out of everyone on this planet, like, I know me the best. Like, I know me through and through. I know my thoughts. I know everything about me. But what this verse is saying is that actually, God knows me even better than I know me.
Yeah.
Like, there's stuff about me I don't know that God knows. And like, I mean, that gets my mind a little bit of a mind boggle, I'm not going to lie. But the fact that, you know, if me and God were up against each other in a quiz about me, God is going to win. And like, that's crazy how much God knows about us.
It's also a bit like, you're like, that's a bit scary that he knows everything about me.
Yeah, the good and the bad, and the ugly,
bad,
and the stuff you don't want God to know, and the stuff you do.
I like the verse as well, a bit before in verse 5, when it says about, 4, about before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it could be. I could agree he probably does, because I open my mouth a lot without, like, sometimes I start talking, I'm like, I don't know where the sentence is ending, like, I'm just like, blah, blah, blah. So God definitely knows what I'm saying before I say it.
Oh, thank goodness.
Whereas, unlike you think before you open your mouth more often.
Slightly more, yeah.
A lot more.
I was going to say, it's not hard.
So for me, that's no surprise that God knows what I'm going to say, because I don't know what I'm going to say.
That's so cool. Okay, so that's kind of the first point, I guess, is that, you know, God knows us, you know me.
Yeah.
And then when we look at the second bit from verse 7 to 12, the kind of headline we put there is, you are with me.
Yeah. This is a bit that when we were reading the whole psalm through, that actually is the bit that really stuck out to me, this little section. Like, because I think the section that we're going to do later on is the bit that we get quoted a lot. But this bit before, it was like it really kind of tied together the bit we've just read and the bit that's to come.
Yeah. So let's start the kind of the first bit. What does the first bit of this kind of mean to you? From kind of, where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there.
Like, I think it's just that, like we've got the two extremes of being like up in the high, like when life is great, when life is high, like God is there. And I often, that's the easy bit, isn't it? It's like, it's easy to see God and feel God when life's good, because like you're happy to share that with him. But he says, you know, but it's in the highest, I can't speak. Well, yeah, when I'm up in the when I go up to heaven, you are there.
Yeah.
But when I make my bed in the depths, you are there. Like, actually, when life is awful, and I like say, when I make my bed in the depths, it isn't saying when God's put me in a bad place, but when, let's be real, 90% of the time when life is rubbish, I've created the reason why it's rubbish.
Yeah.
Like, it's normally because of decisions I've made or decisions other people have made, but it isn't God's decisions that have been made. They've put me in a bad position. But instead of God being like, well, you've put yourself there, like, you've made your bed, you know, for that phrase, like, you've made your bed, you've got to lie in it now.
Yeah.
Like, God doesn't apply that to us. He doesn't say, you've made your bed of whatever mess you've made of your life, I'm going to leave you there. Instead, this verse says, I make my bed in the depths and you are there.
Yeah.
So even in the most rubbish, worst time, God is there. So in the minute ago, we were just saying about how he knows everything about us, absolutely everything good and bad. But actually, even when we're in a good or bad place, he's there. And I just think, that's nuts, isn't it? God's not put me in a bad place. He doesn't need to be there with me. He can be stood up in the good place, being like, when you're ready to come back, you can come and join me. But instead, he's like, you've put yourself in a really bad position, but I'm still going to hang out with you and I'm still going to love you. And even though you might ignore that and not realise it.
It reminds me a little bit of, I don't know if you remember this, Becky, but when we were kids, we went to Bowood once, and I wanted to climb a tree, and Mum was saying, don't climb that tree, you're going to hurt yourself, And I was like, no, I won't. So I started climbing this tree, and then I think my shoe got stuck in the tree, and I kind of fell out backwards, and my shoe remained in the tree. And
you're hanging out the tree
upside down, yeah. And
winded yourself.
I did, and Mum and you guys, you came and saved me, and
got you out the tree.
Even though Mum had already said, if you do that, you're going to hurt yourself, she still sat and gave me a hug, and I think she wrapped me up in the picnic blanket.
You were always falling out of trees when you were younger.
Yeah, that's a side note. But the point is, even though we do things that God knows isn't best for us, God can tell us, if you do that, that's not going to be best for you. Yet when we do it and it all goes wrong and pear-shaped, God is still there and he's still with us, and that's what a gracious God is, I guess. So that just blows my mind. And as you were saying, it goes on, it really talks about the extremes of the highs and the lows. And when it says, if I ride on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, it's saying, from really east to west, wherever we are, whatever situation we're in, whether we've put ourselves there, whether it feels like life has put us there, whatever's going on, God is with us. And like you said, going back to the first part that we learn about, that you know me, actually God knows us. He knows our very inner being, absolutely everything about us, and yet he still actively chooses to search for us. He actively searches us out. And then even when he's got us and he knows what's going on in our brain, he will stick by us in the highs and the lows. And I don't know about you, but this year has had a lot of some highs and a lot of lows.
A lot of deep lows.
Yeah, and there's been stuff that's gone on in the world that feels so out of our control, and there's stuff that has gone on with us individually that just feels really rubbish. But actually that knowledge that God knows us, he loves us, and he is with us in all of that, is just the biggest encouragement to me.
It's crazy. When you think about it, it's actually great. The most perfect God, the most perfect being, this perfect God who's created everything. And he's created all the good things, yet he still hangs out with me. He still chooses to find me at my worst and in my worst, or in my best and at my best. He still chooses to come and find me and hang out with me and love me. It's nuts, isn't it?
It's absolutely mental. And I just think, no matter how many times we read this, I mean, in preparation for this, we've read this verse a lot, and every time it gets me.
You get a new bit, don't you?
Yeah, and it's that's just the insanity that God loves me, knows me, and is with me. It makes me feel a little bit like a superhero as well, I'm not gonna lie. I feel a little bit it kind of builds me up, well, hang on a minute, if God knows me, he knows what he's dealing with here, and he loves me, and he's with me, actually, I can get through this, I can conquer this, I can do this. And we're going to come to that a little bit more in the next episode of the podcast, but so there's your taster, come back for more. But I just think it's awesome. So maybe to round this off, should we read through it one more time, and then we'll pray.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, go for it.
You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely. You hem me in, behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, and too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, and if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me, your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light became night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you, for night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you.
Okay, and we just, let's just pray for a minute. So God, we just thank you. We thank you so much for this time that we can chat together. And we just thank you that you know us, that we don't have to hide anything from you because you know us. And even though you know us in the good and the bad, you choose to actively search us out and you choose to be with us. And God, I just pray that for us and for everyone listening, that they would just really carry that forward with them into their day, that knowledge that no matter what you're going to face, God is with you and God knows you.
Amen.
Amen. Wicked. Well, thank you for tuning into this episode of the Valley Project. Hope you have the most beautiful day.
Yeah.
Me and Becky, what are we going to do for the rest of our day?
I need to vacuum off floor in this kitchen.
Adulting! So, Beck's going to do some vacuuming today.
Yeah.
So that's going to be pretty exciting. But you're going to vacuum knowing that God is with you, Becky.
Yeah, as I'm vacuuming my very dirty floor, it'll be like, yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so yeah, thank you for listening and have a beautiful day.
Yeah.